Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Scottish Football. I'm Ryan Fitzsimons, joined by Sharp Div, David. Scotland 0, Czech Republic 2. It's not the opening game they were hoping for. You wait 23 years to get back into a major tournament, and then within 53 minutes you're down and out in the opening game. It just wasn't good enough the day, was it, Div?
Nah, it wasn't. At that level, the opportunities that Scotland have, you need to take them. And the Czechs took them. Two wonderful finishes. Obviously, you can pick them apart and such, but two really good finishes for the Czechs. Ultimately, they did deserve the win today, because for all that Scotland were good to start with, you need to take your chances. I just thought as well we were very light in the midfield. Very disappointed with the midfield. I thought, getting into the England game, that's where we could maybe challenge them, but after seeing that, nah.
I don't want to watch the England game now.
I know.
No enthusiasm for it. I can't see us winning. I can't see us doing anything.
Yeah.
It's just mad how the tone changes within 90 minutes, because before the day we're all like, oh, you know what, we could beat this mob, they weren't that great yesterday, and then 90 minutes
England would have put 5 or 6 past us today. Without a doubt.
So.
And they will if they perform
the Czechs could have done. Marshall had numerous saves. I don't think the Czechs are that great a side. I think they're awkward, they're dangerous, which we've seen, but we were absolutely hopeless. I think there's about, over the 90 minutes, there's maybe 2 or 3 players that can maybe hold themselves. Adams, Robertson and Marshall were very good.
Well, that's probably one of the biggest positives you can take away for the game. The only one. Robertson was just
He was unbelievable.
Another level today. He was world class, and they deserved better, because some of the crosses that he was putting in were world class. They're exactly that. It was a performance everybody was wanting for the captain. He put it in, but unfortunately the other players just.
That's why the performances, it shows the class of Andy Robertson. It shows how good he is, how he's basically miles above anybody we've got in our team. But it is disappointing that you don't get anybody kind of stepping up to the same. I mean, it's hard to ask of that to be as good as Andy Robertson, but I just feel like, and especially in the middle of the park where we rant and rave about the players we have there, the quality we have there, we never really got it. It's frustrating to say the least.
It's alright in hindsight sitting here as well and saying, Clark's picked the wrong team.
No, he did pick the wrong team.
But he did pick the wrong team. This was his biggest match in charge of Scotland, and he's fluffed his lines. The biggest one for me is Billy Gilmour in the middle, because that game was crying out for somebody to go and get on the ball. McGinn, McTominay, Armstrong, they're not the types of players. They don't want to get on the ball. In fact, I thought they were shying away from it at points as well. And Billy Gilmour would have been the perfect player to go and actually get on the ball and try and get us up the park and get us into the positions where Robertson was so effective and more.
Che Adams should have started.
That's another one. Che Adams and Nathan Patterson as well should have been starting.
I don't want to say the words that when Che Adams came on he changed the game, because
if they'd taken chances you could have said that. He brought in just
a different dynamic
for the team. Even his first 2 touches of the ball, he looked great. His first 2 ball was given to him, he killed the ball, took it nice around the defence, and I think he'd done it in a second occasion shortly after, and that was within 3-4 minutes of being in the park. He does that twice, and it shows the quality that you're missing out on without him starting the actual game itself. We'll talk about everything we want to get off our chest in a minute. Let's go through the game itself and the way we conceded our goals. The first goal was a really good header.
The whole passage of play, there's about 2-3 minutes of play that's just not good enough collectively. O'Donnell's taking the blame, fine, maybe he should have got out quicker, but collectively for 3 minutes there we weren't good enough. There was, I think, 2 corners before that in which the same thing happened. The ball went too deep to the backside and they got the second ball in. Now, we didn't stop the second ball coming in, and we didn't do well enough to defend it. We put it for another 2 corners, third one comes in, second ball, great header, fine. We're also too deep. When that second ball comes out, you need to push up right to the edge of the box. The best teams in the world will do that, and it's bravery. When people think about bravery in football, you think about when you're on the ball using passes and stuff. Sometimes it's defensive shape as well. Whoever's line that is has got to just get us up an extra 2-3 yards, and it makes the world of difference. If that header's 3 yards further out, Marshall might be able to get across to that in time. But we're not brave enough to get up and defend it properly. Great header, nothing Marshall can do, fine, but it's a poor goal to concede. It's everything you'd think Steve Clarke's Scotland shouldn't be, because what we're supposed to be good at is those situations, and we weren't good enough. And I actually thought first half we were quite good by the goal, and I thought it was, if that had gone in at 0-0, I said, right, that's a good start, promising. But I mean, again, start the second half, it could have been the 2 chances it could have been 2-3-0 right at the start.
And even as you say, there was big chances for Scotland in the beginning. The biggest one fell to Andy Robertson. I think he's thinking, as a left back, hit the target, and he does that. The keeper makes a decent save, and the other one was a cross for Andy Robertson to Lyndon Dykes, if I'm not forgetting any of the other ones. Obviously Marshall makes a couple of good saves as well. Just to pick up on your point there, it was literally like mirror image plays for the goal that happened just a minute previously, where the ball goes out to the back post. I think it's McGinn in both occasions that goes to close it down, and it's an overload, and Scotland don't learn from it. That's probably the biggest disappointment with that goal, because it's happened, so you identify the problem and you try and fix it on the next one, and maybe that is where it takes somebody else and another voice to just take a wee bit of, I don't know.
Well, Stephen O'Donnell's taking
leadership and fucking
taking the stick for this, but the moment the play before that you've just mentioned, Andy Robertson doesn't get out and stop the cross. Now, we're all ranting and raving about how good he was, but again, it's the same mistake. Just one of them results from the goal, but it is the same mistake. Now, I don't actually genuinely believe it's down to the individuals. I think it's a shape thing. I think it's more to do with how they're set up to defend these, because the ball came out on the left-hand side, on the Czechs' left-hand side, our right, and it was Robertson that went out. The second goal was the Czechs' right, our left, and it was our right fullback that went out. That doesn't seem right to me. Yeah. Surely, they're going to the right. It does not seem right. And it seemed at both times like they just noticed there was a run coming in rather than being prepared for it, which is why they're too late to get out. And it's just not good enough. It was shit. There was so much that was shit.
Now you talk about that being shit. We may as well just jump to straight away the second goal, because that's even worse. The fact.
But what do you think is a bigger mistake? Because I think the first one's a bigger mistake than the second one.
Well, there's a number of mistakes there in the second goal from there. There's two glaring mistakes. The debate is sparking up now. I've been scrolling through the last 30 seconds to 1 minute on Twitter to see what everybody's saying about the situation. We've had our own debates in here surrounding David Marshall and his position for that. But there's two key mistakes, and if you want to count Marshall's or not, we'll come on to that in a moment. You've got, first of all, Hendry taking the shot in the position, which leads to the ball breaking for Patrick Schick to go on and take the shot, and then you've got David Marshall being what I can only say is now incredibly high up the park. Like, it's very high. Very, very high. And I know you've had your say in this, but I think I'm all for keepers coming out. Well, in the modern day and age where goalkeepers they come out long, but I think in this situation, David, he looks a bit too high. A bit too high.
Why are we even discussing
I think
this?
we were closer to
We're talking about the first goal, right, and how that's a defensive mistake from a second phase of a set piece. That is basic defensive stuff. We are now saying that somebody having a shot 25 yards from the opposition goal, then the break of the ball landing to a guy who hits it from 50 yards into the goal as being a comparable mistake. Fuck me. I mean, how many times has that happened? 1 in 15,000? I mean, fuck me. It's like he's had it's a mistake, right, from Jack Henry to take that shot. Without a doubt, it is a mistake. He should never have taken the shot. But he's like 25 yards from goal. And then the break of the ball goes right to a guy who scores the goal of his life.
So I'm not debating you
he
here.
Will never score a better goal than that.
I'm using the devil's advocate point here and saying, is the mistakes that we make previously on that play comparable with the mistake of David Marshall being as high up the park as he is, because he's basically on the halfway line.
For me, the biggest mistake for me there is the Hendry one, and I think it's
some goalies would be on the halfway
over enthusiasm. He's just hit the crossbar. Do you know what I mean? He's just hit the crossbar. Fucking thoughts are going through his mind. He thinks, I'm shaping up here, when in fact Stephen O'Donnell's got 25-30 yards in front of him to run in, and that's definitely the better option. As you say, it happens so fast as well. It's all very well us looking at replays and all that slowed down, but it literally happens within a few seconds. The ball getting lumped up to this guy, he says that there's an opportunity to score, and he could not have hit the ball any sweeter. I mean, we were talking about it, like, is he even left footed? I don't know, but the ball literally hits the net as well. It curls at some amount. I don't know if David Marshall maybe 10 yards too far forward? Probably, but the strike is sensational. You can't take anything away from it. My biggest thing with it is the Jack Hendry one. You know what I mean? And
even again, if you play percentages in football, the chances of that happening,
the chances of it happening are slim.
Ludicrous.
Aye, I know.
Whereas the second phase of a set piece is a fucking proper defensive mistake, because that is stuff you work on. You work on that every week in training. That is stuff you can't get wrong. The ball breaks to him perfectly. The weight of the deflection running into his path is he doesn't even have to adapt it. It's right in his path to hit it.
Couldn't have hit it any better.
He couldn't hit it any better. He will never score a goal like that again in his life. Yes, it's annoying. Yes, it's frustrating. But there are other mistakes in that game that were worse than that weren't punished by goals. Like any other time that's not going to be a goal. And I understand that it's frustrating, fine. But there are so many bigger issues with our performance today than those two mistakes. Because how many times just the break of the ball is a hole in that game. We never get the break of the ball once in that fucking game. Even in attacking areas, it just never
broke.
broke.
I never like to play the side of just bad luck and all the rest of that. I feel like they're genuinely very stereotypically Scottish in the fact there was no luck on our side. There was no break of the ball. I feel like chances that we were creating that were very good were taking the odd deflection, or they were getting blocked, or this, that, and the next thing. Just feel like there was nothing that was going away. And of course, that's no stretch of the imagination an excuse, because we were poor. And I think the Czech Republic have played a game that, by an organisation point of view, they've deserved their win.
They've mastered their game.
Yeah, they came out and they played to the strengths of themselves and to the weaknesses of Scotland, and they've got themselves the result. But the break of the ball and all the rest, there was nothing there for Scotland. But then I feel like we were a bit lethargic in a lot of situations. We weren't reacting, man. There was just, and we've seen it a lot of the times, not just off the ball but on the ball. The amount of times we watched this together, the amount of times we watched a player have a throw in, a free kick or whatever, and there's nobody moving, nobody doing anything to help them out. We're very lethargic on and off the ball.
It's leadership as well, and believing in yourself and wanting to actually go and get in the ball. The amount of times I've seen players that looked like almost hiding, no wanting to get in the ball. I don't know if that's just maybe that's their style. They're no ball players, and maybe we had our best ball player sitting on the bench, and maybe that was a fucking factor. So I don't know. I thought there was too much space between Davy Marshall passing the ball to like the centre half and a midfielder actually wanting to go and get on the ball. McTominay was playing the 6. He's a player that we've gave immense praise to and such. As a 6, I think he's wasted. I don't
thought
think
he was the worst player in the park.
Probably, and I don't think he's good enough to be a 6. He's not the type of player that's going to go and demand the ball. He's the type of player that wins it back and passes it to a player like a Gilmore.
He's a box-to-box midfielder. We said it all week in the midfield, in the build-up.
Terrible.
It's not just him. I don't think McGinn was good enough. He showed some flashes in the second half. I don't think he was good enough. We can talk about the guys like Henry and O'Donnell who will take all the flack for this, but your top players have got to stand up. You know, and
does that fall back to the manager then, David, and the team selection?
Yeah, the team selection was wrong, but the team selection still should have been good enough to win the game. Do we not
talking
agree?
about team selection?
I think
it was a team.
I would agree with you there, but I just thought the balance looked so well.
I know, I do, and I also agree.
I
I agree the team selection was wrong. I get that, but the players that were on the park there should have been more than good enough to win that game. Too many of them didn't perform, and if they had performed, we would have won the game.
They performed 50%.
Well, it leads me to my next question. In terms of team selection, was it clear, because it was clear to me we missed Kieran Tierney today, and I'm not saying that just his inclusion in the squad would have got us a win, but Robertson gets the benefit of having Tierney right beside him, and that team is massive. I feel like you need players of that quality around Robertson, around everybody else, but just the back three today, I think needed somebody like Kieran Tierney there just alongside the other two. We miss him big time. We need him back for Friday.
I thought first half we defended quite well in open play, very well. In fact, I thought Hanley was brilliant first half. I thought Cooper was fine. Really good. Hendry was good first half. Second half, I think the reason the back three are taking so much of the stick is a lot down at the midfield. Grant Hanley probably had the ball more than anyone else in that team today. Just the amount of time he had the ball.
Got to show for it.
But he's got the ball, right? You've got McTominay and McGinn ahead of them. They're both standing right with a guy right there. They're not moving to even just a bounce pass to create the space in behind you. It's basics, and it's so fucking frustrating that they were just. And then the fact that you've got Cooper and Hanley with 10 minutes to go and they're passing the ball between them because nobody in front of them will show for it. And they will take the stick for that of most people, but it's fucking not their fault. That's where you've got your best players should stand up. So McTominay, experienced at the highest level now, she's got to stand up. Didn't do enough.
Che Adams as well, that was a big call. I thought he's going to start the game, and when he did come on in the second half, it showed that he probably should have started. In the first half, I was saying the long ball isn't working. Dykes didn't win a header, which fair enough, but see in the second half, as you were saying as well during the game, when Adams came on, he offered a different dynamic, and we kind of were getting more success through that. So I don't know, obviously players did not perform, and the team selection was not what it should have been, which I guess just takes us to where does this leave us? Well, for the rest of
I don't want to be sitting here sulking for longer than we need to, because at the end of the day it's devastating. It's not the way you want to welcome yourself back to an international tournament. We've now left ourselves a bit of a mountain to climb. You, David, started off at the top of the video saying you don't think we'll be able to beat England now. You don't think so either?
Not a chance after that performance.
You don't think if maybe they make the right changes to the team, so for example, O'Donnell's took a lot of the stick tonight. Say you bring in Patterson, you bring in Forrest, or you bring in someone else, and then you bring in Adams, and then get Tierney back in the team. Do you not think there's a chance? We've shown that chances, as long as we're a bit more clinical, there is a chance. I think we.
But that's the thing. See, against England, we're not going to be getting the same amount of chances. We're going to get maybe 2 or 3 chances. big chances potentially, and you need to be taking them. It's worrying for me the amount of chances we've had today, and we've not took them.
There's also no way, even if we'd won this game, say we'd won this game 3-0 today, there's no way we beat England at Wembley without a bit of luck as well.
Exactly.
You need luck, you need things to go your way, you need everyone to perform out their skin, otherwise it will not
have
happen.
an off day as well. Do you know what I mean? Even with our best 11 as well, we need them to be absolutely firing, and as you say, you need a wee bit of luck as well.
There's not a hope that Steve Clarke's going to start Nathan Patterson at Wembley. He just won't do it. Whether he should or he shouldn't. I mean, I can't. It just goes. It would go against everything he's done as a manager. I can't see him starting Billy Gilmour. Just cannot see it happen. Callum McGregor will probably start. I'd love to
see start as well, mate.
But again, like today, I said all week, I've said for months about Billy Gilmour should play for Scotland, and people said, "Oh, he's shite. Fucking Fleck and McLean should play ahead of him," and all this nonsense. The one thing he does so well. The amount of time, if our defenders had the ball, he will go and take it in the tightest of areas when he's under pressure. Nobody would do that today. Nobody did it. I can't think of anybody that did it well. The only person, and you mentioned earlier about leadership and stuff, about being brave. Talk about leadership and leading by example. Every time we got the ball, Robertson was immediately off, immediately making an option. And yeah, we missed Kieran Tierney, absolutely. I think if Kieran Tierney plays, we probably don't see that performance out of Robertson, we see a slightly different one, because I think the way the balance works with them too in terms of attack and defence. But again, we need luck that Tierney's going to be fit, because that's going to be a 50-50 gamble at this point. Maybe even worse. Maybe Clark's not giving much away. I personally now have no enthusiasm at this moment in time about that game. I just don't want to watch. I don't even want to watch another game at Euros. Honest to fuck. That was awful. It was so bad, and I couldn't understand. I could not foresee a world in which it was that bad.
That's my biggest thing as well, because you see the potential going into this game versus the Czech Republic, and you don't live up to that potential.
Aye.
That's my biggest thing. See if you go in and you beat off
a lucky goal
side,
or something.
You get beat off a side and you go like that, fair enough.
Aye.
But it's when you believe that there's another way we could approach that game. Also with players set them up a wee bit more. You sit here and you go, that's annoying.
And I'll tell you what, it's just, we're talking about Scotland getting chances and being a bit more clinical as well. Like, I'm feeling still, I want to be optimistic. I want to be a bit more enthusiastic, as enthusiastic as I can be heading into these last two games. But I'll tell you the truth, man. We talk about Marshall maybe being this or that off his line. He still made 4 or 5 cracking saves today that could have made it a fucking skill.
And this photo that's going around about showing how far he's off his line, they've got the ball there, but actually, if you look where Hendry is, that's where Marshall was in that position. The ball's broken there in about half a second. So, like, I don't think that's where the ball was when Marshall was there. The ball's broke there in half a second. That looks so much worse than it was.
Yeah.
Again, he was one of our best players.
Nah,
he made so many top
4,
saves.
5, 6 goals maybe.
I just think there's so many more things, and it pisses me off with Scotland fans. We'll point at these things. There's so much more wrong with that performance today than a guy scoring the goal of his fucking life. I mean, it's just, you'll never see a goal like that again in this tournament. It's goal of the tournament, as you said. It's so fucking annoying. And yes, you can point out the flaws and stuff, but fuck me, even then, you mentioned we had the chances. We should have scored
at least one.
Well, fuck me, we could have scored 6 or 7, man, with the chances we had.
Yeah.
And all the subs looked bright, but I don't. Bar Callum McGregor was fucking useless, by the way. I don't see MD that lot. Adams will be the only one I think I'll start on Wembley, because Clark will keep it the same. And maybe, and I said all along that I feared Czech Republic more than I feared Croatia, and everyone's like, what the fuck's that all about? And this is exactly why. The Croatia game might suit us a bit better, because there's less expectation for us to go and get on the ball. We can do the counter-attack, but today when we had the ball, we didn't look comfortable with it at all.
No,
that's the thing, you've got the ball at the back, and we didn't know what the fuck to do.
No.
But every time we won it back, fuck me, we were off like a shot. That's where the chances came from, on the counter. That's what we do well. And fucking Will N.E. has ruined my fucking day, the big prick. Fuck him.
I can't believe it. Have you never seen that comparison before?
No.
Before that's madness. Every fucking month it's on Twitter. Right, well that'll do us. It wraps us up. I mean, it's not the result we're looking for to open us up, but we've got another 2 games to go. Look, boys. Look, it's not the end yet. It's not yet.
We've got a mountain to climb.
We've got a mountain to climb.
The only thing
it's Brian Rice would say.
The only thing I know.
It's Brian Rice would say.
Flip-flops,
flip-flops. I've got mine.
That is an inch perfect goal. It could not have been any more perfect.
Just for the clarification, we're watching like the highlights back on the screen there.
The only thing that can pick me back up is if he makes big changes to that team in the next game. It's the only thing.
And by the way, we'll get done. Even if we do win one of the next games, we'll get done on goal difference now. That's the annoying thing, because they've got 3 points. So we're. I mean, unless we win both games, England have got 3.
Who knows?
End it. Just fucking
like and subscribe. Make sure to go check out the Who Knows Wins TSF League. You can come on and join for round 2, which starts on
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
TSFPOD and
TSFPOD. The link will be in the description if you want to join by code. It is TSFPOD, and you can try and win some cash. But until then, hi.
The lighting in this video is awful.
I know, it's fine. You just fling a wee preset on it, mate. You'll be alright.
See you
Bye.
after.